Where are my 10,000 steps a day people at? Oh, good, because I'm going to tell you why that metric's garbage and what you should focus on instead. Okay, fine. It's not actually garbage, and it is actually a pretty solid goal to strive for. But the interesting thing about today's powwow is the fact that how you take those steps may actually be the variable that matters more, especially if you're not taking many steps to begin with. Here's the step secret that can give you the longevity edge that you've been searching for. Let's go. Yo, 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 what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftingbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic way. Now, let me be clear. For 99.9% of us, more daily movement is a good thing. But the cold, hard, sedentary truth is, for just about that same percentage of people, doing it consistently for life, left to their own devices, is just not a reality. And even though this may not seem like a huge deal to you, a functional young or middle-aged adult, in actuality, your movement habits today are one of the main determining factors of how your golden years will play out. The difference between continuing your life adventures for an additional 20 to 30 years or being stuck, barely mobile and sick for that same amount of time. So, with those two realities out there, being just that, if there happened to be some way to bridge this gap and get a greater health and longevity upside without having to move any longer than one already does, it would certainly be appealing for the majority of the population. Maybe not so much for you, because you're a straight up longevity beast owning your health and thus owning your outcome, but if you're that devoted to your health, this will naturally be interesting too. So, what exactly is this magical additive to your steps? Well, simply put, it's how fast you take them. And I've got some new, interesting studies to share that make a compelling case on why. First, a research team out of the University of Chicago explored the effects that walking at a faster cadence had on the physical longevity of older adults. Doing this by randomizing groups of older adults who were classified as frail or pre-frail into two groups. One following a walking program that challenged them to walk as fast as safely possible, and the other to just walk at their normal, comfortable pace. Doing this while wearing a step tracking device. And the results were pretty clear. Those who increased their cadence by at least 14 steps per minute above their usual pace experienced substantial improvements in their functional capacity, demonstrated by their ability to walk longer distances in a standardized test. Interesting, right? But I know what you're thinking. What are these actual benefits other than the loosey-goosey increase in functional capacity? I'm so glad you asked. Let's take a trip all the way back to 2019, where the Physicians Health Study looked at this very question, examining whether walking pace is associated with mortality and incidence of cardiovascular disease. Here, data was analyzed from over 20,000 male physicians with the average age of 68, finding that participants who walked regularly had a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease and early death from cardiovascular disease compared to those who didn't. However, the greatest benefits were in those who walked 3 miles per hour or faster, what most would classify as a brisk or very brisk pace. And the numbers were pretty interesting, with the 3 mile per hour or faster group displaying a 37% and 25% reduction in all-cause mortality and cardiovascular events, compared to the 2 to 3 mile per hour group, which only had a 28% and 12% reduction. To be fair, both were good, but it's kind of amazing what a 1 mile per hour difference can do. Now, keep in mind that this was self-reported data, but it's nonetheless interesting. That being said, another question does remain. How long do you have to do this fast walking to make a difference? Let's jump back to present day, where a recent study out of Vanderbilt University walked right in to this answer. You You see what I did there? Walked, right? Okay. We'll just go to the study. Looking specifically at the connection between walking fast and mortality when time walking was a major variable. Here, researchers tapped into the Southern Community Cohort Study, which was a cohort of 85,000 predominantly low-income and Black individuals living across 12 southeastern U.S. states between 2002 and 2009, comparing baseline information on daily walking pace and time, including minutes per day that participants typically spent walking slowly, such as moving around, walking at work, walking at dog, or light exercise, and walking fast, like climbing stairs, brisk walking, or exercise. Also including demographics, lifestyle, and health status, and ultimately correlating it with mortality data collected up until December 2022. Here they found that there were significant associations between daily fast walking time and all-cause mortality, with as little as 15 minutes of fast walking a day being associated with a nearly 20% reduction in total mortality. Damn is right. But here's the staggering part. There was only a 4% reduction in mortality associated with doing 3 or more hours of daily slow walking time, showing clearly that intensity matters. And just to add icing on the healthy carrot cake, participants with baseline comorbidities or people who were metabolically sick at the beginning of the study had the largest risk reduction from fast walking compared to their healthy counterparts. Yep, reiterating once again that the body wants to operate efficiently. It just needs the right inputs to do so. And when those right inputs are provided, the people who are the most metabolically sick often see the greatest benefits. And at this point, if you're wondering what this may mean for your life and how it could be applied, I'll tell you. And it comes down to this. Upping the intensity from wherever you are currently at is probably a good idea, as data like this is just the latest in a growing body of evidence, highlighting the profound benefits of getting that blood pumping. And although something like high-intensity interval training is an unbelievably awesome way to do that, for most people, there are simpler ways. As we covered today, it could be a power walk a day that helps keep the Grim Reaper away, even if it doesn't provide the absolute best risk reduction when it comes to morbidity and mortality. But I'll tell you this, for the average sedentary person, it will get them a good chunk of the way there, and do it in a very doable way. I mean, what more could you ask for than that? If you can't make it a priority to put your fanny pack on and get 15 minutes of power steps a day, working just hard enough to the point where you cannot hold a conversation, it would be safe to assume that you will follow the normal human trajectory of living the last 15 to 20 years of their life in a state of morbidity, or being disabled and debilitated by preventable disease from doing the things you truly love to do. So, start making the investment. Ideally in both steps and intensity. As we saw in this research breakdown here, 500 more steps a day can have a profound effect on your longevity odds. And when it comes to the #1 killer on the planet, heart disease, consistent and prolonged high-intensity training over the span of years has been shown to be one of the only ways that's displayed the ability to make the actual structure of the heart younger, or what researchers refer to as more compliant, improving the entire vascular system and basically every organ system in the process, making a pretty strong case for 30 strenuous sucky minutes a day being the best magic longevity pill on the market. The trick here being training your mind to embrace the suck, ensuring yourself each and every time that you do not want to do it, that you will unequivocally feel better in every aspect of your life when you're done, which also happens to be unequivocally true, with the exception of some delayed onset muscle soreness. But who's keeping track? Doing this until movement gets so ingrained into your identity that you do it without even thinking about it. And listen, when it comes to intensity, understand that it looks different on everybody because each and every one of our physical and psychological fitness levels are different. So for an average sedentary individual, a 15-minute power walk may initially check this box, but as they progress, so does their cardiovascular and physiological capacity. Thus, just like Billy Madison graduating grades, every few weeks they need to graduate to a new intensity to meet their new fitness level. When it comes down to it, this game of health and longevity is just a long game of balance and rebalance. One which you'll enjoy a hell of a lot more once you begin reaping the benefits of finally feeling how you're capable of feeling. If you want my full list of ways to sneakily add more movement into your day, check out that aforementioned 500 step video where I walk through all of them and a whole lot more. Walking, pun intended, of course. And I'd also love to hear how you balance low, moderate, and high intensity movement into your daily protocol. So please share some of that alpha in the comments below and let's get better together. Oh, and one last thing. I'm going to leave you with the best intensity hack no one knows about. If you haven't already, go to Amazon and get yourself a nice sweat-proof fanny pack. Ideally, some sort of neon color. Because come on, those things just scream speed. So much so, they basically walk themselves. You'll thank me later.